Hi friends, I wanted to share a story with you today because I know sometimes these days can get really long, but we're nice and cozy and I want you to get nice and cozy and I'm going to read you the Lorax by Dr. Seuss. This is one of my favorite stories of all time and I love it for right now. At the faraway end of town where the grickle grass grows, and wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can see still today, where the Lorax once stood just as long as he could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere from the faraway end of town where the grickle grass grows? The old Onceler still lives there. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffled moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you perhaps if you're willing to pay. Oh, you can hear my doggy barking in the background. He thinks somebody's here, but they're not. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. There's his pail, and you have to make your payment. Then he pulls up the pail and makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole in his grovulous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whispermaphone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. My book is breaking, I've read it so much. Slup! Down slups the whispermaphone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snargly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swami swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. Aren't they pretty? All different colors and fluffy. See my doggy in the background? Rusty, say hi. Hi, buddy. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. The humming fish are here and the brown barbaloots. Aren't they cute? But those trees, those truffula trees. All my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what to do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I'd chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy. And he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What is that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat, but it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along and he thought that the thneed that I'd knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Be quiet if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers and uncles and aunts. I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds just as busy as bees to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times fast as before, and that Lorax, well, he didn't show up anymore. That super axe hacker looks a little bit scary if you ask me. But the next week, he knocked at my new office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. Uh-oh. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go, but business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm. I most certainly did not, but I had to grow bigger. So bigger I got. I biggered my factories, biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, and biggered the loads of the thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth, to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled, he snargled and sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a crofulous croak. Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape the smog you've smogged up around here. Poor Swami Swans. What's more, snapped the Lorax. Ooh, his dander was up. Let me say a few words about Gluppity Glup. Your machinery chugs on, day and night without stop, making Gluppity Glup, also Schloppity Schlop. And do you know what you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. Look at that goo he's creating, that Schloppity Schlop. You're glumming the ponds where the hummingfish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then he got mad. Excuse me. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into thneeds, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From inside of the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more thneeds, no more work to be done. So in no time at all, my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left beneath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. Looks very different than it did at the beginning, doesn't it? The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Just gave me a very sad, sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that means, well, I just couldn't guess. See, he left that small pile. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, said the Onceler, now that you're here, the words of the Lorax seem perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds. And truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula. Treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest. Protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. I hope you liked our story. I hope that you have fun and that you stay safe. and that you realize maybe, just maybe, while all of us are sitting at home, the humming fish and the swami swans and the brown barbaloots might all come back to play. Good night.